You were tuned in to G5 Jeff TV. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button as you come on in. We are live Friday night. Y'all see the title of the live. JoJo Diaz has missed weight, lost his title on the scales. We were going to talk about something completely different about 2 hours ago, but I mean, that's boxing at the end of the day. As you can see, we got the VP in the building, my guy Shane. What's up with you, bro?
Everything's all good. Just reacting to the news. Boxing's a very reactive sport. It can change within a second, in and outside the ring. So,
yeah. And the thing is, the original plan was to come in and talk about all of the fights that was going down tomorrow. And since then, we had the Joe Smith fight get canceled. Hold on. Already. Put up your dukes. What's going on? Bro, we need you on this show. We need an interview from you, bro. This glove situation is crazy. I gave you a couple of shout outs yesterday in the live. The public needs your expertise as far as gloves, bro.
You get some gloves and bring them in the video as well. Get some gloves.
Yeah.
Get some gloves. Demonstrate them in the video. Show anything, like we kind of work around your availability, to be honest.
Yeah, I put up your dukes. I don't care. Like, you let me know when you're available. We'll work our schedule around you. But people need to be educated when it comes down to gloves and things like that. I'm so glad that you tapped in. It's crazy because the Joe Smith fight gets canceled because of COVID. Then JoJo Diaz misses weight, and he was almost 4 pounds overweight.
Yeah,
like it wasn't a couple of ounces. But like Put Up Your Duke said, it's karma. It's karma.
Put the comments at the bottom of the screen. Click the comments at the bottom of the screen.
I got you. Put Up Your Dukes, that's definitely karma. We all know JoJo Diaz won his fight against Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer had a rematch clause, and basically they found some loopholes. They found some loopholes to get out of the rematch, and that's what happens, man. That's what happens. That's bad karma because he was supposed to give Tevin Farmer his rematch. He's supposed to give Tevin Farmer his rematch.
In all honesty, I wouldn't even say that's karma, because you know how I feel about rematch clauses. If you lose conclusively, I don't really feel like there's need for a rematch. You knew what you were signing up for. I don't believe in this idea of fighters who are champions. Oh, I gave you the opportunity, so you should extend that level of courtesy. You remember, this is a person. We hope you fight people that's credible. If you beat him, you're gonna use his name as I beat JoJo Diaz. So if he's credible enough to have to be an opponent, he's credible enough to beat you and not have to rematch you if he beats you conclusively. To me, I just feel like this rematch clause thing, and I'm not even just saying it because of this situation. I say it all the time. I don't really like rematch clauses, and if the fight's not conclusive, like I remember when Josh Taylor fought Prograis. That was a fight that deserved a rematch. There's certain fights that just don't deserve one. So I don't think it's karma, because I feel like, if anything, it's just showing how unprofessional JoJo Diaz is, and what Tevin Farmer was saying in the first place was correct. But I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad karma.
Well, that last part, you hit the nail on the head. For that reason, it's karma. For that reason. But in terms of what JoJo Diaz did, like it was some behind the scenes stuff that was going on. So to see that he lost his title on the scales, it's a lot of people saying that is karma, but it's not the first time. So it's unprofessional at the very least, even if you don't think it's karma. We got my boy DT Boom Man in the building. What's up with you, bro?
He's gonna come on one of these lives as well, because he's been consistent.
we got something lined. We got something lined up. DT3 and myself. We definitely gonna do a couple lives together. That's my guy. That's my bro for real. He said, what's up with the lack of discipline? You know what, DT3? JoJo Diaz said in an interview he was enjoying himself during the pandemic. Like he was enjoying his food during the pandemic. And you know how it is in the pandemic is either you was working or you was slacking. And
Yeah.
you know, JoJo Diaz was slacking. You
You
want
know,
to
you
speak
know
on that,
what I
Shane?
find. You know what I find crazy is normally with the IBF belt, you make weight, but you don't make weight the next day. He didn't even make weight in the first place. So it,
Right. And
for
hold
me,
on for the
part
people.
of me,
For
go
the
on.
people, before you continue, but for the people that don't know what Shane is talking about, because I gotta assume somebody in here may not know. With the IBF, you basically you make weight, and then you got to come in the next morning and weigh in again, and you can't be 10 pounds over. So that's what Shane is talking about. Shane, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's. I would even say he tried to cheat it because with certain fighters, they just tried to scrape making weight. He was 3 pounds over. So to me, I believe he knew he wasn't going to make weight going into the uh weighing. When you know you're not gonna make weight, you don't find that out on the day. You find that out weeks in advance. So you really want to ask yourself, are you trying to get that weight advantage for a reason of the fight, or are you just trying to get, like, you would have had to pre-plan this? Certain fighters, they don't mind paying the extra pounds for paying the extra dollars for the rehydration because they feel like it's going to give them an advantage in the ring. So is it a case of him, but then you lose your belt on the scale? So is it a case of him just not caring about whether he loses his belt, and is that gonna represent him not being so effective in the ring and him not
Oh,
really caring about the result?
well, I think he do care. I think he did care about the belt because if he didn't care about the belt, then he wouldn't have went into all that back and forth with Seven Farmer. So I think he definitely cared about the belt. I'm definitely down for the 30-day weight check and the 7-day weight check. I think they need to incorporate that in all sanctioning bodies. Because if you have that, then you have an idea of what's going on going into the fight, and it's not a surprise to other people. Even if you do a 30-day check and the guy is like way off, if you're a promoter, if you want to get a backup plan or something like that, you might have that in play. I know PBC is good at that. They be having a backup for every single fight that they have since the pandemic has started. So that's something I think these sanctioning bodies need to look into. But I think JoJo just I think he probably wanted a weight advantage, but I think he was just on some fat boy shit and couldn't get the weight off. You know what I'm saying? T3 the Boom Man, he said Tank Benavidez, now JoJo. True.
You
Very
know
true.
what I say, yeah, and I have to keep it 100. One of the people who we speak about being extremely unprofessional is Adrian Broner, but he actually makes weight fantastic. I don't know how he does it, but he's one of the people who's always drinking, drunk, or doing all kinds of madness. But he makes weight fantastic. So maybe there's an actual art into rehydration. By the way, if people don't know,
Yeah.
there's an actual art into rehydration. Some coaches are fantastic at it.
Yeah, there's an art in rehydration. There's an art in making weight. Even Adrian Broner, he lost a belt on the scales, but I think he wanted a weight advantage. Floyd, he came into a fight against Marquez, and he don't ever miss weight, and he missed weight for that fight and paid extra money and got a weight advantage. So we've seen this throughout boxing history. But DT3, you 100% right. Tank, he be on some fat boy shit. Benavidez, I don't know how you miss weight if you Benavidez and you have your own gym. I don't understand that. And then
I
you had
don't know how you miss weight if you're fight. Tank is the worst one for me because Tank missed weight when he was moving up weight, which doesn't really make sense to me.
yeah. He was the worst one because I'm like, you went up from 130 to 135 and you missed. Now technically he made the weight technically because he came back 2.5 hours later, and they gave him extra time to make weight too. They gave him extra time to make weight too. But yeah, Tank was worst case scenario. But DT3, you 100% right. Put up your dukes. He said yes. But once you give your word, you should honor it. That's a fact. That's a fact.
That's true.
But we
That's
know
true.
boxing is a dirty game, though. Boxing is a dirty game. Like you once you give your word, you gotta honor it. But in boxing, you gotta have that paperwork right too, because you got a bunch of shady people moving around.
I mean, you also have to look at it like this. Whoever sorted out Terry Farmer's contract, he had to be the one who's liable for that mistake. Because I remember when Ruiz was trying to get out, PBC was trying to get Ruiz out of that rematch clause, but Eddie Hearn had that down packed. And this is my thing about all of this stuff when it comes to, when you prioritize certain fighters, and certain fighters have the lawyer fees and have the money, you know, they make sure their contracts are secure, real secure.
We call them paperwork gangsters over here in the States. And you gotta have your paperwork right. You know, so that's 100% facts. 100% facts. My man Will Stokes in the building. Will Stokes, what's up, bro? He said, "Can't believe JoJo."
You missed yesterday's live.
Yeah, I hit him up. I told him he missed it. I told him I didn't let him know either. But my boy came in the clutch today. He said, "Can't believe JoJo would mess up like this on his first defense. Some just want to become champion and can't be bothered to defend it." Let me get at that. That's a good point. That's a good point. And you know, yesterday, Shane, we talked about, you know, like Fury and how good Fury career is. And you know, you and I we go in separate directions off of me basically saying like Tyson Fury, he'll win a belt, but he doesn't defend it. Like he'll win it and he'll go in a different direction. I think guys that have belts for a long period of time and they make title defenses, I think they are to be commended. I think AJ is to be commended. You can question Wilder's opponents, but Wilder making defense after defense is to be commended. Guys like Gary Russell, they've had belts for a long time. It takes a certain type of champion to go into camp and defend your title time after time after time.
The reason why I'm not making an excuse for Fury, because I'm not like a Fury fan or whatever. But the reason why I extend him a little bit of courtesy is because when he was champion, we're talking about a person who's only ever been champion one time before this.
That's true. That's
true. And JoJo Diaz, the difference with him was JoJo Diaz, his belt is leverage. Fury doesn't need a belt to be leverage when it comes to negotiations. So that's the difference. But I'm not excusing Tyson Fury not making a title defense, but that's just the difference. If you don't have a belt, Tyson Fury's the only guy who gets 50-50 even without a belt.
And that's where you just heard my opinion and Shane's opinion on it, and is like nip and tuck as far as that situation. But like we always say on the show, like two things can be correct. Your Dukes, I'll definitely reach out to you. I appreciate that, bro. We definitely got to get you on, man, because it is so many people that's not educated in terms of gloves. So what's basic to you would be brand new to a lot of different people. And we can also work something out where you can show some of your work on the channel. If you know, put the website up, all of that.
If anything, I'm a guy who loves buying gloves, so you know that already, Jeff. I'm a guy who loves buying gloves, so send me wherever your contact website is or your store, wherever it is. Obviously, I'm
I'll put you in contact with him. But he good dude, man, real good dude. He said put up your Dukes, and the California rules don't allow you the 2 hours afterwards to make the weight. That is 100% facts. 100%
The difference with that was you also have to remember when Tank was fighting for that, it was a different governing body. IBF don't really, when it comes to weight and rehydration, they don't really play. They're quite strict. You know, remember that's how Tank lost his belt the first time was with the IBF. You know, because he didn't make weight with the IBF.
Wasn't that fight in Atlanta? Was that fight in California or in Atlanta? The one when he the
Gamboa one. The Gamboa one.
Oh, the Gamboa. Okay, I got my fights mixed up. Okay.
Because remember the one that he lost the IBF belt, that was in Vegas. That was the one on the Mayweather undercard. The Mayweather McGregor undercard.
You're right. Bruce Gold, salute family. What's going on with you? Put up your dudes, definitely. Okay, so that's all for the comments at the moment. But going forward, what do you think is going to happen with this IBF belt? Do you think Farmer's going to be in that fight for the vacant belt?
I feel like what you got to understand is if you didn't want to fight him before, you probably don't want to fight him now, because you had leverage of having the strap, and having like financial. You were the A side the first time. Tevin Farmer doesn't have to go to you to get the belt right now. I mean, especially if Rakhmonov wins. If he wins, he definitely doesn't have to go to you. So that's why I say it's quite poor from what he done from a financial perspective and a boxing perspective, because he's given up his whole entire leverage.
Yeah, and the thing is, I know Tevin Farmer, he having fun with it right now. He clowning him on Twitter and Instagram and all that. But to be completely honest with you, it's in Tevin Farmer's best interest for JoJo to win tomorrow. It's in his best interest to win tomorrow. Because if Rakhmonov win the fight, he's definitely going in a different direction. He's not going anywhere near Tevin Farmer. So Tevin Farmer actually needs to root for. He needs to root for him.
Who's not going to go in the direction of Tevin Farmer?
Rakhmonov. If Rakhmonov wins the fight, he's going to go in a different, because he don't have no ties to Tevin Farmer. Unless they force him to take that fight, he's not going anywhere near Tevin Farmer. That wouldn't even be smart.
The money. Huh? It's the money. Tevin Farmer at 130. Let's be honest. Out of the guys at 130, if let's say JoJo Diaz loses, the guys at 130, who can Rakhmonov say he's going to make more money against? I mean, who else is out there where you can say he's going to make more money against?
That's true, but even with that, even if you want to think like that, Rakhmonov can take a gimme fight. He can ask for the sanctioning body to just give him a voluntary off the jump. And then he would have to go to Farmer or whatever afterwards. So at the very least, he's going to delay it.
Well, if I'll ask you a question. If Rakhmonov wins in good fashion, let's say he does win, right, do you think Tevin takes that fight? Do you think Tevin
if the belt is on the line, hell yeah, he takes that fight. Yeah, he take that fight for sure. He definitely takes that fight. He Farmer doesn't care who the opponent is. It's the belt. It's the belt that he wants, because he need that leverage back. Some guys are okay with it, like you said earlier. Some guys are okay without the belt because they still have leverage. Some guys need the belt for leverage. Guys like Tevin Farmer, Demetrius Andrade, they need the belt for leverage because they don't have that much leverage to begin with. So they need all the leverage they can get. So yeah, to answer your question, Farmer's definitely taking that fight. We got Unrivaled Boxing Talk in the building.
It's very different to Warrington, where Warrington,
it's different
because he's got the fans, he's got the numbers.
Yeah, Warrington has choices. Unrivaled Boxing Talk, what's going on with your player? Said big up. He also said Rakhmonov has a pre-fight agreement if he wins with Top Rank. Ooh.
You know what they're gonna do with that fight? Winner of Herring versus Frampton.
Frampton is gonna get
Everybody knows what's gonna happen with that fight.
You just dropped one. You just dropped one on his Unrivaled. I didn't personally hear that, but wow, that's crazy. It makes sense though. It makes sense. Put up your Duke said, of course, Tevin takes that fight. Yeah, he takes that fight in a heartbeat. He probably thinks he'll have an easier time with Rakhmonov than JoJo, to be honest with you. But I know with Tevin, Tevin said he had some things going on going into that fight. He said it after the fight. And that's always a fine line, because I'm like, if you say something about that prior to the fight, if you say something prior to the fight, then it gives off bad vibes. If you say something afterwards, then from the outside looking in, I don't know Tevin Farmer personally. It looked like everything was on point. going into the fight. Like there wasn't anything where I was just like, yo, there's red flags. And then he from the city. I didn't have anybody call me or text me and say, yo, like, yo, something going on with Tevin Farmer. Like Tevin Farmer ain't right. And I get them calls. Like J-Rock Rosario. I got that call. Jesse Hart, Joe Smith. I got that call. Like usually when a Philly fighter, when there's something going on with him, I usually get that call I usually get a call or something from somebody that's in the know in the city. I didn't get that call from Tevin Farmer. I'm not saying that nothing was going on, but I'm not saying that he lying or anything. But I didn't get a call. I know I'm not the end all be all, but you know, go ahead, Shane.
He didn't lose in a way where I said, wow, something was wrong with Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer fought the way he normally fights and lost. He just got outworked. That's the difference. Like he just doesn't have a high enough boxing output, high enough tempo. Yeah. If he had a fighting style like a Ray Vargas, for example, or Berchelt, who's just extra aggressive, and he fought like how he fought against JoJo Diaz, and I say something was wrong. But he doesn't have a high output, and he got outworked. That doesn't surprise me.
And the thing was, the fight was closer than what people be saying. I'm like, on the cards, the fight was closer than what people be saying or what was perceived. So yeah, I was like, but when you have Tevin Farmer's style, I don't worry about Tevin Farmer making a miss. I'm like, how much is he gonna make them pay? And that's the difference between Tevin Farmer winning and losing. You know, defensively, he's going to be on point. He's gonna be Tevin Farmer, but it's like, how much are you willing to, you know, make your man pay that price? And he just didn't work. He didn't throw enough in that fight. It was open for him to win.
He just wasn't active enough.
No, he wasn't throwing enough. And that's, you know, Tevin Farmer, that's my guy. Like he's one of my favorite fighters. I love that technical shit. You know what I'm saying? But you know, at the end of the day, like it is what it is. So we're gonna see what happens with JoJo Diaz. Do you think JoJo gonna win tomorrow?
I don't know because it changes things because, as I said, when you're 3 pounds overweight, you don't find out you're 3 pounds overweight on the day. You find out that before. So because of that, to me, I just question his mind state in camp. You know, if you were trying to make weight, that means the whole entire camp was dictated to losing weight. It's a fat camp. So you didn't do much boxing work. You've been out the ring for so long. Or is it a case of you want the extra weight and then you don't know? There's so much uncertainties.
I'm gonna throw this out there as well. I think he was so far off of weight and he knew he was off. The fact that you was almost 4 pounds off and the fight is still on, I think they let Rakhimov camp know that they were gonna be off. He was going to miss weight, and I think they already had the terms and everything negotiated prior to him stepping on the scales. So I think, because I mean, we've seen people miss weight for less, and the fight gets canceled because they can't come to terms. So the fact that they came to terms tells me they probably knew he was off probably a day or two before the weigh-in, and they probably said, listen, you can't be over 134 or 135 or the fight is canceled, period. I think they definitely had something lined up. But and off of that for a second, man, Joe Smith, Maxim Vlasov, like we was really looking forward to that fight, man. And Maxim got COVID-19. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully his family is okay. But how bad did you feel once you heard the news Joe Smith fight was canceled?
So I want to say this on camera. The funniest thing about this is Vlasov don't ask me how. Vlasov was supposed to be fighting someone called Salamov, and they were supposed to be fighting for the vacant strap. And what happened with that was, they were supposed to be fighting, and the winner fights Joe Smith, but because of COVID, again, that fight didn't happen. So the reason why that's such an unfortunate thing was because Joe Smith was really supposed to be fighting for the strap at the end of last year in December, because that fight was supposed to be taking place in October, September times, and then they run it back at the end of the year. Joe Smith versus Vlasov at the end of the year. That was supposed to be happening, but because that fight got cancelled, that fight got pushed into the new year. And the reason why that's so annoying is because Joe Smith's been on such a good run, you know, beating Jesse Hart, beating Alida Alvarez. And to me, as I said before, I just felt like he's definitely one of the most improved fighters in the sport. And I just feel like this would have capped it off fantastically. You know, he would have won the fight. I definitely know that. I've actually seen Vlasov fight many times. Vlasov fight none of the fights. He's a former cruiserweight as well. So he would have had a size advantage, but in terms of the power, he wouldn't have been able to deal with that Joe Smith power. And Joe Smith would have got him out of this. So it's annoying because all it really done was prolong the inevitable. And the reason why that's so frustrating, because when you're in the division that has so much, I don't want to say names, but there's so much fights that are easy to make for you. It's easy for you to make the Beterbiev fight. It's easy for you to make the Bivol rematch. It's easy for you to make Ramirez fight, I assume, because of the complexities of it. It's easy for you to make a Jesse Hart rematch. It's easy for you to make these fights. Because of that, you don't really want someone like a Vlasov holding you up. You see my point? That's annoying. Yeah. That's the most annoying part.
Yeah, I was hold on. Put up your Duke said I was too. I like Joe Smith. Yeah, that's the put up your Dukes. That's exactly where I was going with it. Joe Smith, I know he's not from Philly, but he's like a Philly guy. You know what I'm saying? He hard working dude, working 9 to 5, got his own business. Like he's that type of person, just throw his hard hat on and he goes to work. Like he literally throws his hard hat on and just goes to work. Like that's what he does. But he has improved so much inside of the ring. And it's small things that a lot of people don't realize, but he improved so much after the Dmitry Bivol loss that, I mean, he's leaps and bounds compared to where he was at in that fight. You know, Joseph, if it wasn't for unification fights last year, you can make the claim Joe Smith was fighter of the year if it wasn't for that.
I mean, if Joe Smith, and this is what I was saying, if Joe Smith actually fought Vlasov at the end of last year, like how he was supposed to, he would have had a belt. And he would have had 3 fights in a year where it's congested with like pandemic and failed fights and stuff like that. That's a fantastic year. And I just feel like, as I stress, I don't know what you think about this, but when you're so close to something that you know you're going to get, or you don't know, but you're very confident that you're going to get, you don't want someone like a Vlasov holding you up. You don't want someone who's, I don't want to say beneath you because I don't want to disrespect him, but someone who you know is not on your level holding you up from what you need to get. It's a bit similar to what happened with Wilder. And when Wilder was fighting Brazil and he was going through those negotiations, you don't really want someone like that because he's your mandatory. He's stopping you from the AJ fights, the Fury fights, and you don't want that.
And the thing is, I actually like the fight with Vlasov from a stylistic standpoint. It's one of those things where I'm like, if Vlasov can take Joe Smith power, which is the huge question, I'm like, if he was able to actually handle Joe Smith power from a style standpoint, it's an interesting fight because Vlasov, he's awkward just enough to throw off a guy like Joe Smith that's kind of, you know, straight up and down. So I was actually curious to see.
That's the thing. Vlasov is very up and down. He's old school European. Like very stagnant with his feet, very up and down as well.
Yeah, with his feet, he's up and down. But his punch variety is a little awkward, which is what you need against a guy like Joe Smith to throw him off. I was very intrigued by the fight.
I get you.
Will Stokes, wish I could hop on, gents, but got some uni stuff going on over here. I hear you, bro. Just you know, continue to listen in and all that. Put up your Duke said facts. Brian Harkins. Yo, what's going on? I ain't gonna read the rest of your name, but Brian Harkins, what's going on? You are definitely new. Subscribe to the channel, man. you know, we get subscribers on the actual show. We don't have anybody on today, but that's something that we're known for and something we're going to be doing going forward. So definitely tap in with us for sure. Thank you for tuning in. Put up your Duke says Zurdo backed out of the Marcus Brown fight. Let me get into that real quick. The thing is, on its face, you can say that, but when you really dig down deep into it, he didn't back out of it. Like they ordered the fight. So the thing is, when a sanctioning body orders a fight, it's still up to the fighter whether they take the fight or not. Now, the reason I'm saying he didn't, I'm not saying is now he technically he backed out of the fight, but he backed out of the fight to get something better. Like
exactly,
he basically put himself in a better situation than the Marcus Brown fight. Like the Marcus Brown fight would have been for an interim. It would have been for an interim. So basically, he backed out of the Marcus Brown fight to put himself in another situation where he's probably going to get a shot at the actual belt in a position that he is now, and he put himself in a better position and didn't have to take the risk of fighting Marcus Brown. So exactly. I don't have a problem with guys not taking certain fights if they're putting themselves in a better position for a better fight or a better opportunity, or they're going for an actual belt versus an interim belt. So technically you're correct, but Zurdo put himself in a better spot. Go ahead, Shane.
I'm gonna elaborate because a lot of people might not know because the news hasn't broken yet, Jeff. But a lot of people might not know. But from what we've heard, he's basically signed a co-promotional deal with Matchroom. So basically, he's looking to get the Bivol called out Zurdo last year, and he ended up getting. Basically, Zurdo was the mandatory. Obviously, when you're WBO champion at a weight class, when you move up, you're mandatory. So he was mandatory for the winner of Canelo and Kovalev, sorry. And then when Canelo won, Canelo obviously said he doesn't fight Mexicans and all of that stuff. And Zurdo Ramirez was left stranded. When they then ordered the fight, he was having that promotional deal with Top Rank, and that deal kind of fell through. And you know what Top Rank do? Before they let you take a belt and win, they will just freeze you out, hold out your last fight on the contract, and then basically you can't make that fight. So on the surface, it looked like he didn't want to fight for the WBO belt, but in really and truly, his contract with Top Rank finished. So Top Rank said, you can go free, but just give us options on the belt. So when that happened, he went with his own promotional company. For many people that don't know, he done his own promotional deal last year, and Michael Hunter was on the card. When he fought that fight, he was working on a co-promotional deal with Matchroom. There's actually videos on Fight Hype. I think it's Fight Hype or Fight Hub. I don't know, one of those channels where you can see Eddie Hearn and Zurdo Ramirez ringside, so Eddie Hearn was cooking up for Bivol. And obviously that fight is obviously if I'm gonna pick between Brown and Bivol, whilst Bivol is significantly the better fighter, Bivol is still a bigger reward. And he's getting a promotional deal. If you fight Brown, you gotta go into a purse bid, and you have no promoter to back you. So you can go over to BBC and get whatever they give you.
Right. I'm gonna get to your comment in a second, Will Stokes. He said I didn't mean it in a negative way. I know you didn't mean it in a negative way because you didn't say duck. If you'd have said duck, then I know you'd have been on some negative stuff. But but a lot of people are saying that Zurdo ducked Marcus Brown, and I'm like, Marcus Brown is not good enough to be ducked. Like that's just I know that comes off as disrespectful, and I apologize because I don't like to disrespect fighters, but I'm like, I don't think any boxer is gonna hop into a gym or they're gonna go into a negotiation and be like, all right, I just can't fight Marcus Brown. I don't see it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so but I hope Marcus Brown get a fight. You know what? He need to he need to run it back with
Pascal.
Pascal. That's what he need to do. He got Pascal problems. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get to Will Stokes. Will Stokes, he said, yeah, I feel for Joe. What would you guys think about Joe versus Kovalev? Of course, it will never happen, but do you think Kovalev will make much of a fight there?
There's no point for that fight. There's no point for that fight.
Yeah. You want me to take that beyond that?
Oh, no, go on. I was just saying, yeah, you can take
no point.
Go on.
I don't think there's a point for the fight, but just to break it down, do I think Kovalev would win the fight? No. Like, I think
he'll get knocked out. Get knocked out.
Joe Smith would knock out Sergey Kovalev right now. Like, he would knock out Sergey Kovalev right now. Like, I put my check on it. I put my check on it.
Ugly knockout as well.
It'd be ugly because Joe Smith, like right now, is a fresher version of Sergey Kovalev. He's a fresher version of Sergey Kovalev. Yeah, Kovalev would be he'd be looking at the lights. That fight for sure. Will Stokes says Zurdo is Shane's guy.
I just like his fighting style. I keep it real. Certain guys are just like their fighting style. I feel like when he fought Jesse Hart, especially in the first fight, I thought he looked. Jesse Hart put on a great fight, and I actually rate Jesse Hart quite highly, especially at that time. And the way I saw the way he dealt with, I just thought Zurdo was another Mexican fighter, but he actually showed me styles in that fight, which I was impressed with. Obviously, I feel like it was Jesse Hart who made the errors. Obviously, he shouldn't have tried to exchange, but I just saw how good he was up close with someone who's faster than him, athletically more gifted. He still was so much more crafty, and that's the word that I like. He was so much more crafty against the faster guy.
Yeah, and Zurdo showed me a lot in that fight because I think pure athleticism. I think Jesse Hart probably has the most athleticism at 175. He's very athletic. I mean, he's like Jesse Hart's like 147, 154 type athletic.
He reminds me of Andrew Tabiti. That's who. He just reminds me of a smaller version.
Tabiti is kind of a freak of nature when it comes down to athleticism too. But when you have to fight a guy like Jesse now, he has lapses in the ring, technically, because he just goes into this warrior mode. I guess that's just the Philly in him. But when you deal with a guy like that and you have to show 2-3 different styles to get through, Zurdo showed me a lot in that fight. Let me get the Will Stokes laughing. Put up your dukes. He said he knocks Kovalev out. Yeah, Joe Smith, he knocks Kovalev smooth out. I put my check on it. Like, for sure. Like, let's get some of these other fights, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's exactly what I was gonna say to you.
Yeah, let's get to these other fights. Josh Warrington versus Lara. You got any thoughts?
I'm annoyed with that fight. No disrespect to Lara, but you were mandated to fight Galahad. And the annoying thing about that was that's a good fight in England. That's a good fight in England. You know, before there was promotional issues, now they're both on the same side of the street. I don't think Lara is a bigger fight. So you drop the belt to fight someone who's less known. It does, and to make less money. This doesn't make sense to me. He said he dropped the belt to look for bigger fights. Obviously, the Zhu fight got cancelled, so I put that into. I understand that, but I just personally feel like I'm just disappointed because again, he's another person who's throwing away his leverage. You know, I look at the weight class 126. You got guys like Navarrete there. You got guys like Zhu there. You still have Ray Vargas, who's at 126. Ray Vargas moved to 130. Did he move to 130, by the way? Ray Vargas.
I think so.
What's it called?
No, hold on. Ray Vargas. Didn't they say Gary Russell had to fight Ray Vargas recently?
Exactly. Ray Vargas moved up to 126. So he's still up. He's at 126. I thought so. So right. Gary Russell's still at Gary Russell is still at the weight class. So me personally, I'm looking at it like all of these guys, they're bigger fights than what you got right now. And the only leverage you had to pull these guys in was your strap, because Guy Russ was making a lot of money. So he's not going to go to you. And maybe you get the Navarrete fight, but you know how Top Rank is and sending their champions over and not getting anything on the
Yeah,
back end of it. So
yeah,
that might not happen. So you really put your eggs into one basket. I would have just made the Galahad fight and then look at the landscape after that. You kind of brought yourself back to square one.
yeah. Will Stokes said terrible matchup from Eddie there. With all due respect to Laura, yeah, I don't like the fight. The thing is, the fact that the sanctioning body didn't allow the zoo fight, I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. Because with the sanctioning bodies, they're not consistent. You know, they write their rules in pencil. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, what they'll do for one champion, they'll, won't do for another. Still, that still doesn't change the fact that Warrington shouldn't have dropped the belt. If Kid Galahad is the guy that he wanted to face, that he had to face, then to keep your leverage, like to keep your belt and to keep your leverage, then you take that fight.
And people still feel like Kid Galahad beat him. People still feel like Kid Galahad beat him in the first fight.
I thought Galahad beat him in the first fight, but the thing is, he lost. He lost.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying you got to go out and right your wrongs. If you felt like you won, run it back. The reason why I feel like the governing body done him dirty was because is Zhu WBA champion, right? I'm assuming Zhu's still WBA champion.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Unification should trump mandatory. That's what they say.
That's what it's supposed to be. Right.
But you know what it is? Kid Galahad makes a lot of money. So you're getting more sanctioning fees for that fight. That's what it is.
Right. That's what it is. Like that's what it is at the end of the day. Yeah, like I just think Warrington should have just kept his belt and just fought Galahad, because Galahad, again, that's another guy. He's not good enough to duck. Like, you may not like his style, but Galahad's no killer, and he's not special. So I'm like, there's nothing to duck. I know that's it's going to be a tough fight for Warrington, but it's not a tough fight in the sense like he's going to get bullied or out muscled or anything like that. The thinking man's game.
Do you want to say that you've lost your belt to somebody that you've already beaten? That's what you got to look at. That's the painful truth of it. You've lost your belt to someone that you've already beaten, and you didn't get to fight him again.
The thing is, bro, all the great champions, if it's a situation where they had a controversial fight, they go back and go get that. They go back and go get that. We got Cuzzy TV in the building. Big shout out to Cuzzy TV. Only Laura we acknowledge as Arislandi. I tend to agree with that. You Dukes, what do you think about Berchelt and Valdez? Shane, I'll let you take that first.
I'll be honest, that's one of me and Jeff's best favorite fights of the year that's been made for this fight. So this year, but I think that's the end of the month. That's the 20th or 28th.
27th, I think.
But
I want to say the 27th.
Maybe 27th. But we'll probably cover that fight when it happens. It's a fantastic.
Oh, we covering that for sure. We covering that for sure.
I mean, I couldn't be more happy with that fight. Valdez obviously being the younger guy, the less experienced, but obviously he's fresh, he's young, he's undefeated, he's got that undefeated mentality, which I love. And Berchelt, he's been on a fantastic run, and he's just a killer when it comes to. He's one of my favorite fighters as well. In terms of bang for your buck and value for money, Berchelt's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So you like Berchelt in the fight?
Yeah, I do. I just feel like his experience. I feel like his experience and his craftiness will probably be too much. But I think Valdez will give him trouble early, because when the last thing you want is an active, young, fresh fighter who doesn't know how to lose. They're gonna come out and get it. And Berchelt's gonna find out that he's not as fast as he think he is. He's not as fresh as he think he is. Berchelt quite fights like he's still a young pup. He still tries to fight like he's still a young pup. He's gonna have to show some experience, because if he tries to exchange with Valdez and use speed and freshness, he's gonna lose, and he's gonna find out in the first 2 rounds that he's gonna have to adjust.
Yeah, the first 4 rounds of this fight is gonna be key. Valdez is one of those guys. He's gonna come in and He gonna test you early. He's gonna test you early. Like, he's a strong first half fighter. So Berchelt is gonna have to be careful in the first half of the fight. If Berchelt can get through the first half of the fight, when I say get through the first half of the fight, I mean it's relatively competitive, but he hasn't been hurt in the first 4 rounds of the fight. I think if Berchelt can get through that in the first 4 rounds, I like Berchelt late.
He's got to put. He's got to put some, because Oscar Valdez, for all of his ability, he's still a boy. Not disrespecting him, but he's still a boy in terms of experience. You got to show him who's the man in that ring. You know, you really got to make him know who the man is in that ring.
And,
you know,
and that's the thing. Like, that's why it's an interesting fight, because I don't know how it's going to play out, because there's enough questions on both ends. I can make the argument Valdez could run away with this fight if he's on his game. I can make the claim, but with Berchelt nice with it though. Like, Berchelt is nice, man. He one of my favorites, man. Like, he's nice with it. So I'm gonna say Berchelt late, maybe 9th round, 10th. He gets a stoppage, but that's a very competitive fight. Very competitive fight. I love that fight. Will Stokes, seems pretty clear to me that Warrington doesn't want the Galahad smoke personally. I take that for a second. I mean, yeah, like that's what it seems like, but I don't understand it. Like, I don't get it. Galahad is a big fight out there. And he already beat him. Whether you thought Galahad won or not, like, Warrington has a W over Galahad. So it's up to Galahad to make adjustments to get himself a W. So he would have been the favorite going into the fight. He would have got a nice payday if he beats Galahad, which I would favor Warrington in a fight against Galahad, even though I thought Galahad won the first fight. And only reason I thought Galahad won the first fight is because I think he put enough rounds in the bag early, and Warrington started putting on the pressure late, and I just think he just waited too late. That's the only reason I felt like Galahad won the fight on the cards. But I'm like,
Warrington, like, a lot of people gave it to Warrington because Warrington was champion. I think it was two neutral fights. They would have given it to Galahad.
Yeah, but they gave it to Galahad. So he, for some reason, he doesn't want the Galahad smoke. But Will Stokes, to answer your question, I don't know why. I'm like, you should have just took care of business, you know, at the end of the day. Cuzzy TV said Warrington ain't trying to fight nobody. Cuzzy TV, we gonna find out. Because when you drop a belt, you better have a big fight lined up. You better have one lined up, because if you don't, then your statement is 100% true. Will Stokes said it's the 20th. Damn, it's next week. It's next week. Wow. So okay, so one of our lives next week is gonna be. Damn, we got Berchelt, Valdez. We got main man AB back in action. Robert Easter on that card, Otto Wallen and Dominic Brazil. Man, next week gonna be lit. Next week gonna be.
What's the next fight? What's the next fight on the that we were covering today? Was it Castano and Teixeira?
Yeah, Castano and Teixeira. Who you got?
Yeah, I got Castano in this one. I just feel like Castano. Again, I was speaking this to Jeff earlier. I just feel like Teixeira is a person who we've seen hurt, we've seen down, we've seen knocked out before. You know, he had a lot of struggles even to win the belt against Carlos Adames, and I feel like he's going to go through tough times. And I just feel like fortune always favors the brave. Castano is a brave fighter. You know, he's going to go through it early, and his work rate, his tempo. He might not have the single punch power like Teixeira has. Teixeira showed a lot of single punch power in Adames' fight, especially when he got the knockdown. I think that's what swayed him. But I feel like Castano's punch resilience is going to be key, and I feel like he's going to cause Teixeira a lot of problems. And I feel like by the time Teixeira tries to kick him to gear, because he started extremely slow against Carlos Adames, by the time he kicks into gear, there's going to be nothing left in the tank, because he's going to be worked. Castano's going to work him heavy.
Um, I told Shane this earlier. We talked about this earlier. Like Castano should win this fight. I got this weird feeling, man. Like he either gonna get robbed or they gonna call it a draw. Like Castano is the better fighter. Like let's get that clear. Castano was the better fighter. And it's a better style matchup for Castano because he doesn't have to go outside of what he normally does to be successful in this fight. I think Teixeira is the one that's going to have to make some adjustments. To be honest with you, I don't think Teixeira is going to make the adjustments. Teixeira is one of those guys. His plan B is plan A 2 times the speed. You know what I'm saying? Like that's Teixeira in a nutshell. So I like Castano in the fight if the judges is not on some funny shit. We got Cuzzy TV said, can Valdez take the punches? That's the key. That's the question. That's the question.
Exactly.
That is the question. Can he take the shots? If he can take the shots, then I'm going Berchelt late. If he can't take the shots, he might be down in the first 4, 5. Because Valdez is dynamic, but he's so open defensively. He gives his opponents so many opportunities to get their offense off. And I mean, it's in a variety of different ways. Guys can initiate with Valdez and get off. They can counter Valdez and get off. They can throw in the pocket with Valdez and get off. Like anybody that fights Valdez, like you're going to be able to get your offense off. You're going to be able to get off offensively. And Berchelt is one of the best offensive fighters in the game. That's why I'm like, Valdez really got to be on his game to win this fight. But Cuzzy TV, that's a great question. And we're going to find out next week. Can Valdez take the punches? But I think that's the main question in the fight. Like, that's the main question in the fight. What do you think, Shane?
No, yeah, it's very simple. Again, I feel like when you have an untested chin, you know, you're going in against someone with extreme power. How do you react to that? You know, forget physically, because physically, if you react negatively, it's over anyway. I mean mentally, because sometimes your body holds up well to it, but your mind doesn't. Because you just tell yourself, I just don't want to get hit by that again. And you just shut off offense completely. I've seen it happen so many times where a fighter gets hit early and he's like, I just don't want that again. And they just shut up. I remember Groves, when Groves fought Callum Smith. I don't know why that came to my mind, but I remember when Groves fought Callum Smith, he just shut up offense completely early. He just felt that power and was like, yeah, I'd rather not have any more of that.
You can mentally check out for sure, but we're going to find out. If Valdez can take the shots, he definitely has the offensive game to win that fight.
Whoa. I don't know. Jeff just jumped out. Maybe he's going to jump back in. I don't know how that's possible for Jeff to jump out and me still be in there. Well, okay. The next comment was Cozy TV. It don't matter who wins, they all food for Charlo. I assume you're talking about Teixeira and Castano. No, I think Castano can cause Charlo problems. But by the way, see if am I the only one in the live, or can you still see Jeff? Someone put in the comments. But yeah, I feel like Castano has a good opportunity to win, to be honest. I feel like he has a good opportunity to win against Charlo. But I just feel like Charlo's overall athletic skills is better. What happened there, Jeff?
I don't know. For some reason, it just cut off. Like it just cut off. I thought I lost the stream and everything.
All right, cool. I was still on it. It was whose comment was it? It was Kosi TV's comment. Yes, I was saying I just feel like Charlo overall he has the athleticism and the technical ability to beat Castano, and he has different styles and ranges. You know, he can fight off back foot, front foot. But the problem is I think people underestimate, and I said this early in the live, how good Castano's punch resilience is, and how good he is at walking a fighter down. I feel like people feel like because of his previous fights that he is a one style fighter, but his one style is very good. And I feel like can Charlo deal with that pressure? That's the question that I'll be having. Can Charlo deal with the constant pressure? And that's the question I ask.
All right, let me get at that real quick. Charlo Castano was a damn good fight. Like, that is a damn good fight. A lot of people don't give Castano the credit he deserves. That's a real good style matchup because Charlo's gonna have to. He's going to switch his styles up, and Charlo only fights one way since he's changed trainers. He only fights one way. You know what I'm saying? So that's an interesting fight. That's no gimme fight neither for Charlo. Like, he's not like food. You know what I'm saying? He's not food at all. For your Duke, I have someone wearing my gloves on the Broner card. He's fighting Rashid Warren. Okay. That's what's up. Put up your Dukes. He always has somebody wearing his gloves on a card. It could be a local card, big card. Put up your Dukes. You're doing your thing, bro. Let me see. Obs, what's going on? To share it. Yeah, he gotta be new. Obs, definitely subscribe to the channel. Definitely, welcome. We talk boxing every day, all day. That's what we do. Even when we not on live, we messaging each other with lives. You know what I'm saying? Like with boxing talk and all of that. But definitely subscribe. He said Teixeira is 3 inches taller. It has a 9-inch reach advantage. He could fight on the back foot and pop Castano all night. Let me take that. Teixeira doesn't have a type of game to be fighting on the back foot and picking guys off all night. Teixeira don't have that type of. If he has it, he hasn't shown it. Am I correct, Shane?
100% sure. 100%.
The thing is, people, they look at people's physical attributes and be like, oh, okay, he should do this. He should be able to do that. I say this to Shane and everybody else all the time. I'm like, you can't give somebody a game plan and they're not able to they don't have the skill or the ability to carry it out. So everything that you said, Obs, is correct. That would be the best way to beat Castano. The question is, in theory, that's the best way to beat him. But when it comes down to it, the question is, can Teixeira carry out that task? And he hasn't shown that. But go ahead, Shane.
This is the thing. I feel like people get dimensions confused with skills. His dimensions gives him all the ability to do that all day long. But there's a difference between dimension and skills. He tried to do that against Adames. And for the first few rounds, he was losing because he was getting outworked because he tried to use real estate and move and use the range. When you use real estate and move, you still have to have a level of offense. So you being defensive and moving around the ring, if your opponent still outlands you, all of that movement don't mean anything. And the way he won was by coming forward and fighting in the pocket. So I don't really feel like that's the way he's going to do it. He's just not built like that, in my opinion. But that's it. You're definitely right in terms of his dimensions. And in theory, 100%. But practically, that doesn't always work like that.
I tell BoxingFirst Vlog that all the time. Big shout out to my big bro, BoxingFirst Vlog. When it comes down to it, like, you have to give out a game plan that your fighter can carry out. Like, it's really that simple. You have to give out a game plan that your fighter can carry out. And that's not the game plan for him. He's going to have to beat him fighting his fight. He's going to have to beat him fighting his fight because he's not going to be able to change styles and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Hold on a second. Will Stokes got to go, but might be able to get back in here in a bit. Big up, fellas. Appreciate you, Will. See, Obs, he said, yeah, you're right. Castano bring the pressure. I just feel like Teixeira is a live dog.
Definitely.
Yeah, Teixeira is definitely a live dog. Like, he's definitely a live dog. It's just with Castano, some guys bring that type of pressure. Like, Castano's not reckless when he bring the pressure. Like, he's technically sound. So he brings the pressure in different ways. And that's going to be the key to the fight. Can Teixeira adjust to how Castano's coming through the front door? Like, he comes through the front door in different ways. He give you angles. And he throws different shots to get himself to close the gap. So the height advantage and the reach advantage is not as much of a factor as you would think, because Castano is that good closing the gap and getting to his range. Like, once Castano gets to his range, Teixeira's going to have to outpunch him. We haven't seen anybody outpunch Castano. Like, Lara couldn't do nothing with Castano. Like, Castano won that fight. Like, he got robbed. Period. He got robbed. And we love Lara over here. We love Lara. But Teixeira's got an uphill battle in this fight, you know, for sure. But Teixeira's a live dog. He's a live dog. Go ahead, Shane.
No, I 100% agree. I literally 100% agree. What was the next comment?
He said, I got Castano late. I could see that happening. I think Castano's going to win the fight. I don't want him to get robbed. I don't want to get robbed. And, you know, that's where I'm at with it. Let's cover Richard Comey, Jackson Marinas. That's it was the co-main event. Now it's the main event since the Joe Smith fight got canceled. What's your thoughts on that, Shane?
I mean, this, you know, you ever had a night where you put all your eggs in a certain basket to be the most entertaining fight. That fight tends to be an anti-climax, and then you have one fight that just stands out. This is like a dark horse. This is a fight that has all the potential to be a really good Saturday night fight. You know, those fights that you don't pay for, but one of those fights is you're just very entertained. You find it very entertaining, and I feel like it'll be that fight. I feel like Richard Comey never, whether he wins or loses, he never fails to entertain. You know, he's an entertaining fighter, and I feel like he's a guy who reacts well to defeat. You know, we jumped right back on the horse when he lost to Robert Easter, and he's jumping right back on the horse when after his loss to Teofimo. So I like Comey, and I feel like Comey's got the power. I feel he's got the work rate. I feel like he's got the mentality. It's just whether his punch resistance and his timing has been affected by the Teofimo loss.
My main thing with this fight is how is Comey going to come in off the layoff? It's usually with guys that are like punchers, like Comey can crack. Usually when they come off of long layoffs, they usually take them a while to get cooking. Jackson Marinas is not the guy you really want to be fighting when it comes down to you know, like coming off a long layoff. Like, Jackson Marinas can box. He is a really good boxer. And when it comes down to it, I like Marinas in this fight, man. I like Marinas. I like him by decision. Comey just gonna have to show me. He gonna have to show me, like, coming off a long layoff and coming off of the type of loss that he had. Like, he lost a belt. He lost it early in the fight, and like basically got embarrassed, like on TV. Like,
you brought this point up earlier, and I don't remember the fight. Yes, I remember the fight. It was Dorticos versus Bradis. And you remember when you were saying Dorticos has the power, but because of the layoff, it takes guys with power so long to readjust. And it's exactly what we saw in that fight. We saw where Dorticos took so long to readjust and get himself set to land his power shots. It could be the same thing, where you see a fighter who's got the power, got the work rate and the athleticism and the aggressiveness and the aggressive nature to land punches, but their body just doesn't have the timing. And that's what I was saying. Is his timing there? Because that's what kind of got him knocked out in the first fight.
Let me tell you how much me and you on the same page. Remember when I told you Dorticos and Bradis? I said, if Dorticos don't get Bradis up out of there in the first 5 rounds, he gonna lose the fight. Yeah, this is the same situation. If Comey don't get Jackson Marinas up out of there within the first 5-6 rounds, it's a wrap. Go ahead, Shane. Go ahead.
No, I agree, because I just remember that just popped into my mind when you brought that statement up, was when a fighter who's been out of the ring long, and it's very common when a fighter hasn't been in the ring long and they're single punch power, you know, they're looking for single shots. You know, it's very, because knockouts don't just come from, like, people get confused by Wilder and think because Wilder just hits you, it's over. That's a fairy tale. Knockout, Wilder's an illusion because he's not normal. Normal knockouts come from great timing and great, like, hitting someone when they don't see the punch. And that all comes back to timing again. How well is your timing? How good are you at negating your opponent and putting them in a position where they don't see the shot and setting them up for shots? Putting enough, what's the word? Holes. What's the word I'm looking for? Traps. You're setting enough traps to let off your power shots, let off for the singles, let off the ones and twos. And that comes down to consistency. And when you haven't fought in a long time, you know, it can affect your timing very big time.
Yeah, I can see Jackson Marina as being up 4-2 halfway in the fight, and Comey's gonna have to step on the gas. But I understand why they picked Jackson Marina, is because you don't want to put Comey up against another power puncher coming off of a Teofimo fight. But at the same time, Jackson Marinas can really, really box. Like, he can box well. Like, technically, he can box very well. So it's a dangerous fight. Don't get me wrong, I could see Comey winning the fight. I just think it's the layoff more so than the Teofimo fight that concerns me, because when guys, they take the sustained beating, those are the ones that had a problem. Those are the ones that had a problem. But the ones that take a knockout early, they are more likely to recover. You know what I'm saying? They're more likely to recover. How worried are you about the layoff?
No, it's something that we've never really been in this position, so you learn more as you see more fighters respond. So we've never been in a position where fighters are 10, 11 months out of the ring on a mass scale, where you're seeing a collective of like 30, 40 fighters who aren't fighting. That's never really the case. But because of the pandemic, we're seeing it. So you don't really know what you're going to see until you're in the ring. There's no way to coach that. I mean, you can spar as much as you want, but there's no way to kind of curb that plateau that you have. You know, if you've been building and training, and then you fight, you just don't know where you are, you know, when you're not fighting regularly. And that's why it's consistent for fighters to fight regularly, especially punches, because punches rely so much on timing that you just want to keep it clicking. And in sparring, you don't look for knockouts in sparring. So how hard is it to get a knockout when you haven't knocked out someone in so long?
Yeah, those
sorry to cut you off. I'll give you an example. There was a time when Dylan White was fighting, and he went a good amount of fights without getting a knockout. And I remember when they were asking him why you haven't got a knockout in so many fights, and Derek Chisora was questioning his power and stuff like that. And Dylan White was saying the year where he got the most consistent fights was the year where he got the most knockouts. And that's just an example I wanted to give you.
That's a good example for sure. Got my boy Beams 2K in the building. Say what's up there, guys. G Fizzle and Shizzle. What's good, gentlemen? That's the first time I ever heard that. G Fizzle and Shizzle. You know, might have to trademark that, but you know what I'm saying? But big shout out to Beans 2K. Basically, are there any undercard fights that sparks your interest?
No fights are really that interesting on this weekend in terms of undercard. I think Shane Mosley's son's fighting this weekend as well. I mean, I don't know who he's fighting. Yes. I think I saw his name. Yeah, I saw he was fighting. But in terms of the actual, these fights are more interesting in terms of what does it lead for the winner. You look at the Castano fight, you look at the Washington fight, you look at the JoJo Diaz and the Rakimov's fight. That's the biggest one in terms of what does it mean for the winner. Yeah. And Comey fight, what does it bring for the winner? You know, in a division, I think Comey one's very interesting, because if Comey wins, I feel like it just makes Teofimo even that much better. But then if Marinas wins, he could be an opponent for one of the likes of Devin Haney or rodeo.
Yeah, the winner of that fight definitely. I mean, the winner of that fight, if Haney takes either one of them, that's good. That's a good fight. That's a good fight for him. I'm interested in Jared Anderson, heavyweight. It's going to be the opening fight on the Comey card. I think he's 5-0, 6-0 right now. Definitely interested in that.
You're gonna have to educate me on this guy because I'm not.
Jared Anderson, he's a guy, power puncher, but he has real good hands. And you know, not every heavyweight has good hands. He got good punch variety, and he gets on the inside and he rips. Like he really rips. And with heavyweights, I look to see if you can throw short, compact shots. He's not no small guy, but he throws short, compact shots. Jared Anderson, he's gonna be a problem, but he's in a good fight. Like he's in a good fight for 5 fights in. But Jared Anderson is a guy that I'm looking forward to seeing. Outside of that, the Joe Smith thing kind of just screwed things up for me, man. That was the fight that I wanted at the end of the day. Go ahead, Shane.
Now I was just gonna say, what was the next comment? The next comment was, "Put up your dukes." Floyd is one of the only fighters I've seen that come off a long layoff and look the same. Yeah, I mean, you also have to remember when Floyd used to come off layoffs, his opponents was cherry picked, you know, so he would have had much more time than the opponent to react. You know, he would have probably picked the opponent while he was still retired, trained for that opponent, then announced the fight, and then still had a 7-week cut. So he would have been like a month ahead of his opponent anyway. You know, so
right.
I feel like there's a lot of context that you have to take in behind it. But he's not the only fighter, because Tyson Fury, when he came in, oh, that's a lie, because he looked quite poor in the Fury fight. But he looked good in the Wilder fight. Let's put it that way. He looked good in the first Wilder fight.
Put up your dukes. He said Floyd is one of the only fighters I've seen that come off a long layoff and look the same. Yeah.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, 100% facts. Floyd's one of the few that can really get away with that. He's one of the few to get away with that. He said, Shane ducking me.
I don't know what
we don't know the issue. Hey, YSM, we don't know the issue. What's the issue?
I don't know what's your problem with me.
Hey, YSM, put in the comments. What's the issue? Hold on.
I could never duck anyone, especially when I don't know the problem.
That's YSM. That's my guy. Hold on a second. Hold on.
YSM, put in the comments what I actually done to you. That's what I want to know. What did I actually do? You can arrange whatever, just get together.
Hold on. I'm about to hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hey, Mill. I just put the link in. So you I was getting ready to come off this joint, but since you slid in here, man, because I don't even know the issue, so this gonna be interesting. I don't know the issue.
One state,
and I talked to Mill earlier today, so I'm actually kind of curious.
I'm ducking. I don't know why I'm ducking. I don't know what I'm ducking.
The thing is, like, you and Mill are like two of my favorite people when it comes down to boxing, man. YSM does so much on his channel and covering the city, and my bro is in here right now.
Fantastic.
What's up? I can't stay long. Shane, okay. Stop ducking me, Shane. I'm on your ass.
Right.
I'll be watching you. Clowning Wilder with the Breland situation. I'm on you, Shane.
Oh, seriously, that's your problem. Okay, I get you. Listen, I have nothing against Wilder. I'm a Wilder fan. Wilder's one of my favorite fighters.
Oh, but hey, Mill, hold on. Hey, Shane, before you go, hey, Mill. Me and Shane predicted for Wilder to win the second fight.
I'm
And
just
the
saying
first
that.
one. And the first one.
Well, in terms of the betting thing,
I need to check Shane's betting records because I think he just did that for TV. I think he put.
Okay, so
on the
this is what I'll say. This is what I'll say. Why I said this is my point. The problem I have with the Breland situation is very simple, bro.
Go ahead.
I feel like when you throw stones, you can't be offended when someone throws stones back. Wilder publicly disrespected Breland. Whatever you believe, to me, I feel like you could have done that. You should have showed him a certain level of courtesy. Now, when he shows you that same energy that you gave to him, I just don't see how you can get offended. You publicly said slanderous things. What Breland said was just his opinion. It was his opinion that he thought that your opponents were bad. It was his opinion that he thought that he should stop the fight. It was his opinion that he thought that he was untrainable. What Wilder was saying wasn't an opinion. It was slanderous. And that's the difference. That's disrespectful. That's my problem. But go ahead.
Right, so I got a couple questions for you. Right? So first off, when Wilder was actually surprised that Breland came back and said something, I was cracking up because I'm like, bro, what? you didn't expect him to say anything?
Exactly.
I found it hilarious. But I'm gonna ask you a series of questions. Right? And I don't give my take on Glovegate publicly, but I'm gonna ask you a series of questions. And you give me, just your answer. All right, so how long ago did the Fury fight happen?
The first Fury fight or the second one? Second one.
The second one. The second one.
Second one was last year, February, so a year ago, 365 days.
Okay, so when was the first form of criticism that you heard about Mark Breland?
What did you say? I didn't hear that. What did you say?
I said, what was the first bit of criticism that you heard from Mark Breland, from King Wilder towards Mark Breland?
The first criticism that I heard from Team Wilder was when they decided to kick him out of the dressing room and not allow him into the ring because he threw in the towel. That's the first bit of criticism that I heard.
Okay, so that was initially right away in February, right?
Yeah, initially right away.
Okay, so secondly, when did you first hear about the spiked water feeling?
There's some kind of feedback. I didn't even hear what you said. Say what you said again.
He said, when did you first hear about the spiked water? Is that correct, Mill?
Yeah. When did you first hear about
when did I first hear about the spiked water? I think I heard it maybe 2-3 months after. I didn't hear it straight away. It wasn't straight away. There was more excuses in between. But yeah, maybe 2 months after, I'd say.
Did Mark Breland say anything?
No, not at all.
Okay. Even when Wilder came out and spoke and finally alluded to Mark Breland being a snake in the grass, the whole nine, did Mark Breland say anything?
Nothing whatsoever. I know where this is going, but go ahead.
Okay, so, and I'm asking you, do you find it odd? And it's just, do you find it odd? I don't want you to dwell too much in it. Do you find it odd at the timing of Mark Breland's statement?
Personally, it seems very calculated. I'll agree. I'll accept that it seems very calculated.
Hold on. Hey, Shane, tell him why it's calculated.
The reason why I say it seems very calculated is because if you look at the time of when there was a big gap between whether we thought the Wilder and Fury fight was going to happen again. And we didn't know the situation whether Breland was still in the camp because we didn't find out that he was kicked out of the camp until later on in that year. And then when that was happening, it's still in the air whether Wilder and Fury wasn't going to happen anymore. It's very convenient that now we definitely know that fight isn't happening. Now we definitely know that they're not together anymore. Now we definitely know that Breland's gone his way and Wilder's gone his way, and there's a clear separation. All of a sudden, here's Breland with his statement, and the limelight's off Wilder. All of a sudden, let me say something to get a bit of attention. It does seem that way. I won't lie to you.
Oh, okay. So I thought you were alluding to something else, but I just identify the elephant in the room. Okay, so BBC, was it BBC or was
Yeah,
it?
it was BBC.
The documentary came out on Sunday, right? Okay, and then Mark Breland comes out. What was it? Wednesday or Thursday?
Yep.
With the Wilder statement on Spencer Fearon's platform, who is president of the MTK Global Foundation. True?
Okay, so this is this.
No,
Wait, can I stop you there?
I just asked, was it true? It's all of those things true?
No, but this is the thing. This is the thing.
No,
There's
no,
a big misconception.
it's yes or no. Is this true?
Oh no, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. But this is the difference. One,
Okay, and then I
MTK go. Wait 1 second.
Do you find that convenient, Shane?
No, I don't, because there's no connection. MTK Foundation has nothing to do with MTK Global as a company. They haven't. MTK Foundation and plus Spencer Fearon, he's worked for every company. He's worked for MTK. He's worked for Sky. He's been a corner man. He's been a fighter. So him having his own platform, which has nothing to do with MTK Foundation, which MTK Foundation is about fighters who is about children who are getting off the streets into boxing. MTK Global is a promotional company.
No, it's a management company. Who funds that foundation, sir?
Who funds the foundation? It's a charity.
Yes.
It's a charity.
Who funds it?
It's a charity. So it's a charitable thing that you can donate.
So I asked, okay, so it's called MTK Foundation for what?
Oh, what did you say, sorry? What did you say, sorry?
I said, is it called MTK Global Foundation for Kicks and Giggles, or is there a specific reason?
No, it's called MTK. It's MTK Foundation because of it's by Macklin and Daniel Cunningham. Oh,
okay. That's cool. All right, so Mark Breland is American, right?
Give me 1 second. I need to get my charger because this is about to get a bit more exciting.
No, it's not, because I gotta go. But
okay,
Jeff,
go ahead, fire off.
Hey Jeff, but what I'm saying is, do you find it's funny things? It's funny that when people, when certain people of certain fan bases,
right,
they highlight certain things when it comes to certain fighters, but I'm not gonna say naive. Now, for whatever reason, all of this coincided. Mark Breland could have went to any platform. He's from the U.S. He could have went to he could have went to ESPN. He could have went to Fox.
Can I answer that?
Jeff just asked me something. So he could have went to any one of those outlets.
Okay.
It's just happen chance that after a year of being silent, it comes out a couple of days after that documentary drops. It sounds to me that that's a PR move, and that was a way to deflect the negative attention that they were getting over there. And
okay, so this is the thing. This is the thing. I literally, my phone's about to. I want
to hear you wiggle your way out of this one. Go ahead.
My phone's literally about to die. So Spencer Fearon was the
Go get your charger. Go get your charger, bro. I don't want your joint to go out. Get your charger. I'll hold them for a second.
All right, cool.
Get your charger. Because I don't want this to cut off. And he right in the middle. Yo, I didn't know he had he not on the screen, bro. I didn't know he had a book coming out. You know he had a book coming out?
Yeah, he has a book coming out.
Yeah. That adds on to it.
Yeah, but isn't ESPN a bigger platform to get your book out?
Yeah, but it goes back to what we was talking about on the phone. It go back to what we was talking about on the phone. Like that was a gut shot.
Yeah, what I'm trying to get Shane, and Shane doesn't want to admit it. He wants to think that Mark Breland just came out at that particular timing for kicks and giggles. No, that whole scenario was calculated. The fan base that he was catering to, the time that it was coming out, the point, like, it was calculated. And right. I'm not saying he's wrong for not speaking out. I'm saying, why now?
Yeah. Oh, he cut out.
Oh man, but
He cut out.
let me go.
Okay.
The next time you have him on, yeah. I'm just talking about just the timing of it.
The timing of it.
Yeah.
I know where you're going with it. If you want to continue to listen, I'll get some of that out of him. But let me know what your schedule is tomorrow, and then we could just line it up and we could just start back from where we left off.
All right, bro.
All right, Mill.
All right.
All right. Did he miss the knife? Oh, you missed the knife.
I didn't miss anything. They're saying that I didn't submit anything.
Shane cut out. I think his phone probably died. YSM Sports Media. Big shout out to him. That's the bro. Go subscribe to YSM Sports Media. He one of the best channels doing it. Put up your dukes. If you know Mark, he's a quiet and non-controversial person. He's been that way all his life. He looks that way. Put up your dukes. He looks that way, for sure. The thing YSM and I talked about, kind of off camera. I was saying to him, I said, well, why go to that platform? You know what I'm saying? I was like, why that platform? There's so many other platforms you can go on. So when you don't hear from Mark Breland for so long, you know what I mean? And hold on, let me get Shane back in here.
So this is cool. I see.
He just cut out. He just cut out, but let me finish this real quick and I'm gonna let you go. Put up your dukes. As far as Mark Breland, we were wondering why he chose that platform. Like that's what we were wondering initially. But Shane, go ahead. Right, go ahead, do your thing. Because YSM was listening, he just had to get off.
Okay, so this is what I was saying. So I hope YSM's listening. I'm glad. So firstly, he said that naive fan bases. I am not a Fury fanboy. So that I hope you get that off there. I am far from a Fury fanboy. Like I've publicly several times on several platforms spoken about how I've criticized Fury and praised Fury. So I'm definitely not a Fury fanboy. What you have to understand is the first person, and this is a fact, the first public person to defend Mark Breland after Wilder said his statements in February was Spencer Fearing, and that was on IFL and Sky. So how can you say that he has this affiliation, or why did he choose that platform? The reason why he chose that platform where he showed that level of courtesy is because ESPN and all of these other companies, they didn't defend him. Spencer Fearing defended him, and he publicly came out on IFL and Sky and publicly defended him. And this idea that there's some affiliation between Spencer Fearing and Tyson Fury is all a myth, because Spencer Fearing picked AJ to beat Tyson Fury and he picked Dylan White to beat Tyson Fury. So why would he have an affiliation towards Fury over Wilder when he picked those guys to beat Tyson Fury? It doesn't make sense. MTK Foundation had nothing to do with MTK Foundation is an idea that Spencer brought to MTK Global. It wasn't an idea that they said, okay, I'm running this foundation and I'm going to invest money into you. No, Spencer Fearing was already working for Sky. He already had Stamina for Sale, which was with Stamina for Sale was with Tunde Ajayi. He was a trainer. He was already a trainer. He was already a cornerman. So all of these things that people are saying about Spencer Fearing, they have nothing to do with Tyson Fury and Daniel. Literally, it's like chalk and cheese. You're comparing two things that literally have no correlation. Like, in order for you to know about Tyson Fury and Spencer Fearing's history, you'd have to know about where Spencer Fearing's coming from. Spencer Fearing's been in boxing for years, so only now he's working for MTK. It doesn't make a difference because he's been working for so many other companies before. He's just doing his job.
Well, let me say this, and I'm pretty sure YSM's listening. I think I got this pretty much right. Now, you explained a whole bunch of different things that a lot of people don't know. So I'll give you the temperature of what was going on in the States, because everybody was asking why there. Like they were asking why there. So in the States, a lot of times most of the people, they don't really dig deep in the situations. So when they looked up the host of that show that Mark Breland was on, the first thing that they seen was MTK. It didn't matter about the backstory or anything like that. I think where YSM was getting at was, do you think that was convenient for him to go on that show, knowing that people in the UK know who he is and he has a certain fan base, but then at the same time, he knows in the US, once people see a name in MTK Global, it's gonna expand his name more than usual if he would have went somewhere else.
Because you're asking him to go to somewhere else that didn't show him that level of courtesy. This is what I'm saying, isn't a lie. The first public person to defend Mark Breland was Spencer Fearon, because when Wilder came out with that video, the same day Spencer Fearon done an interview talking about Wilder's video. So why would he not? The relationship between Mark Breland and Spencer Fearon has nothing to do with MTK Global. Nothing. If I message you, if I work for, okay, Jeff, I've worked for Seconds Out before. If I've messaged you on a personal level and said, oh, do an interview disrespecting IFL, all of a sudden people are going to think because you're doing an interview with me who's worked for Seconds Out, there's some form of affiliation, when there's not. It's just a relationship between me and you. That's just the relationship that me and you have. You're asking someone who's a public figure, who's made a public statement denouncing Wilder, to do an interview with someone who was disrespected by Wilder. That's all the connection was. He defended him.
So basically, let me make sure I'm getting this right. So do you feel like Breland went on that particular show because Spencer defended him? And not,
I don't believe he went on that show because it has anything to do with MTK. Because MTK Global have nothing to do with Stamina for Sale. Nothing.
Right.
Stamina for Sale is, one second, Stamina for Sale is Tunde Ajayi's brand. It's what Tunde Ajayi wears on his clothes. That's what is the brand's all about. It's a Tunde Ajayi brand. It's got nothing to do, if anybody's making money, it's Tunde Ajayi, not even MTK Global. Tunde Ajayi is with Anthony Yard's trainer. That's got nothing to do with Tyson Fury.
So, right. So you're explaining things from an inside information perspective, right? I'm gonna tell you where YSM is going with it. I'm pretty sure he's not gonna debate anything you just said in terms of your personal knowledge of the situation. I think where YSM is going is basically the issue is Wilder, Breland, Fury, and then the documentary just came out a couple days prior. I think where YSM is going, take away the inside information that you know, or just the general information that you know. Like, you may know for sure, like MTK Global, like there's not a connection. But do you think it's convenient that Breland, you take the timing that live went out, right? You take the timing that live went out. You take when the documentary came out. So the documentary came out Sunday, and that live came out like Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever the case may be. And the general public is going to see Breland hasn't spoken, what, a year?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't spoken almost a year. So if Breland decided to come out, basically it took him a whole year to come out. And when you actually look at the situation with Breland, he came out, that he said in his statement that he really, the agreement was for him not to talk about Wilder.
Yeah.
That's what he said in the statement.
Mm-hmm.
But he said he had a lot of stuff pinned up, and he ended up talking about Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
Where YSM is getting is, do you think it's do you think it was calculated? Like I'll use his word, calculated, that he came out on that platform at the time that he did compared to when the documentary came out. I think that's why it's so good.
I'll approach this differently then. What channel did the documentary come out in America?
It didn't.
So how did you know about it?
Just online, just social media, online.
Okay, so that's my point. The documentary didn't make that much noise in England because people already know that. People already know about everything that, bro, we've spoken about this before. The whole MTK Global, we spoke about it a year ago. This whole MTK
we knew about it a while ago, right?
Okay, so we knew about this whole MTK Global and the mob affiliation. We already knew about this. Anybody who knew about MTK Global, they knew about this. So the reason why I'm saying that why that's so relevant is because the Wilder situation is something that's stateside. This interview this mob affiliation that they're talking about, this is happening in the UK. It's in the UK, and it's something that's been happening for years. This investigation didn't just happen over one day. So the reason why I'm saying that doesn't make any sense, because in order for Breland to anticipate that this was going to drum up so much controversy, he would have to live here, and he doesn't. He would have to know that it's being talked about in the streets, and he doesn't. So he will be gambling to speak about something that's going to generate a certain level of interest when he doesn't live here. It's not even in America, so he wouldn't even know that.
But I'll say this. I don't live in the UK, but I got a pretty good pulse of what's going on in the UK by talking to you.
Of course.
So he doesn't necessarily have to live in the States to know what the pulse is. Let me ask you this.
Go on.
If you didn't look up the host, because this is what happened. The host of that show, his information was looked up. When you look him up on Instagram, the first thing you see is MTK. So I guess my question is, do you think Breland goes there? Even take everything that you said in regards to the connection, not a connection, all of that. Mm-hmm. If MTK is not, the name is not there, do you think Breland still does the interview there?
Of course. I personally believe that. I personally believe he would still do the interview there, because MTK. So you're basically saying when Mark Breland interviewed Spencer, or when they were negotiating, let's do an interview, he would have went on Spencer Ferrand's platform and saw, it says MTK Global, let me take the interview. You feel like he would have done that?
Repeat that one time. Repeat that one more time. I'm sorry.
When they were negotiating whether he would come on the platform or not, do you feel like he would have went on Instagram and typed in what Spencer Ferrand does and then accepted the interview? Does that sound like something that's sensible? It doesn't sound sensible to me, because this is a person who you would have probably heard of Spencer Ferrand before. I mean, Spencer Ferrand isn't new in boxing, so he's only new in boxing in America, because I don't even know why he's new in boxing in America, because he's been working for Sky. He's a former boxer. He's a former cornerman. So he's not a person who's just been in boxing. So I don't.
Will you say Spencer and Tunde was convenient in terms of when they dropped it?
Of course, because they're when you work for the media, you're just looking to get the most views as possible. Everybody who's in that platform, they're looking to get the most views as possible. So of course they would have exploited that situation 100%. 100% they would have exploited that situation. They would have known that Wilder's name is still in the limelight. They would have known that mob situation is still in because they live in England. So they know the impact of that interview. They would have known that. So of course they would have exploited that situation. But Mark Breland would have had no idea whatsoever, because he doesn't live here. And even if he spoke to people who live here, they would have, because nobody in England has taken that interview for more than what it is. It's only people in America that's taken it for more than what it is, because people in England already know. So it's like people saying that Freeway Ricky was a gangster when people already in America know he was a gangster. We already know that, so it's not really a surprise. So I don't.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's the like YSM, like I know where he's going with it, and I know why he's saying it, because he's basically he's speaking for the person that's not on the inside of boxing, like you and I and him. He's speaking more so of perception to the casual fan, the person that doesn't have the inside boxing knowledge that we have or follow the sport the way we do. There are a lot of people that are just as simple as Breland did an interview with somebody that's affiliated with MTK. Like, that's the perception. So for the casual fan,
sorry to cut you off. The reason why I find that so funny is because if Spencer was still working for Sky, for example, let's say Spencer worked for Sky, are they gonna say, "Oh, wow, he done an interview with someone who's affiliated with Eddie Hearn"? The reason why I find it so surprising is because it doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't make a difference because where he done the interview doesn't make a difference to anything, because what he's saying is still valid. It doesn't really matter where he done the interview. It doesn't really matter. And did Spencer and Tunde exploit that situation? I 100% believe they did. But do I believe that he done it because this guy works for MTK? I'm pretty sure, and I'm keeping it real, I'm pretty sure Daniel didn't, MTK Global had nothing, they didn't even have knowledge of that interview. I'll bet my last pound that they didn't even have knowledge that that interview would have been taking place. Because if they did, they would have made sure it was on their platform and not on Tunde's platform. Because again, people say they've done research, but if they've done research, they would have known that Stamina for Sale is Tunde's company, not Spencer's company. So it's Tunde's company, it's not Spencer's, it's Tunde's.
I think the main thing that you said that YSM can probably relate to is, did Spencer exploit the situation from a media standpoint? And absolutely. But that's what he was supposed to do. Whenever you in media, you gotta assume the media person is going to exploit in some form or fashion. And some people have more integrity than others, but in media, timing is everything. So he definitely got the timing right. And I think that has a lot to do with it, because if that documentary doesn't come out, then even if it comes out 2 weeks later or 2 or 3 weeks before, and then that interview comes out, I don't know if we're having the same conversation. I'm talking about in the States. But let
me ask you a question, and I'll go even a step further. Who do you think reached out for the interview? And Spencer or Breland? Who do you think would have reached out for the interview?
If Breland was making his rounds for his book, I would say Breland, but I'm not sure. I would say Spencer, me personally.
The reason why I would say Spencer is because Breland hasn't spoken anywhere else publicly other than there. So the reason why I say Spencer's reached out to him is because maybe, and I don't know, maybe conveniently, that's the only media. Because remember, every other media company would have to assume that Wilder's name is still popping because they don't live in England. Remember, they don't live in that. ESPN and the head of ESPN and PBC or whoever these companies are, I don't know, like Fight Hub and all of these other big brands in America who do interviews, they don't live in England. They're not based in England. So they wouldn't have known the severity of that interview. They wouldn't have known.
Let me ask you something. Does Breland and Spencer have a relationship? Just them two? Like, are they?
I would believe so, because when Spencer Fearon, and I have to stress this point, when Spencer Fearon came out and publicly defended Breland about the Wilder comments, he took that personal. He took those comments personal. So that's why I'm saying it's got nothing to do with Fury. What he took those comments personal because of his likeness. And if you know Spencer Fearon is extremely knowledgeable about boxing. So he's very aware of Mark Breland and Mark Breland's history. He's very aware of it. And he's also, again, I just feel like people are just getting this hooked up so wrong. If he had an affiliation with MTK and Fury, then why would he pick Dylan White and AJ to beat Fury? It doesn't make sense.
But
why would he pick those guys to beat Fury?
But that's the thing. You're looking into it from a media perspective. You're looking at it from a boxing guy perspective. Like, I would look at those points. You would look at those points. Guys like YSM would look at those points. But we got a lot of people that watch boxing and they're fans of boxing, and they don't think like we do. Like, they don't think like we do. So I'll give you a little insight on YSM and myself. So we had a whole discussion over the phone, right? And YSM, he can validate everything I'm going to say. We had a whole discussion over the phone. We were talking about. Go ahead.
Keep going.
We had a whole discussion about the whole Breland situation and the interview and all of that. And I was making the point that Breland was actually he was taking shots at Wilder, but he was kind of damaging himself as well, with the comments. And I was just like, why there? I was just like, why? And I don't have a vast knowledge of Tunde or Spencer. So everything that I've learned in terms of Spencer, I've learned from you. So I don't know neither one of them, and I'm a boxing guy. And I was on the phone, and again, YSM can confirm this. I said, bro, why that channel? I was like, why that channel? Why that? And I'm a boxing guy, and I was asking, why that channel? Why that live? I was like, why them too? You know what I'm saying? I was like, there's so many other places he can go. I've
given you the reason why, though. I've given you the reason.
Right. You gave me the reason, but at the time I didn't talk to you yet.
Yeah.
So my point is, I'm a boxing guy, and I was asking the questions because I wasn't familiar with Breland on that level. I wasn't familiar with Tunde on that level, and I wasn't familiar with Spencer on that level. So even I was asking the question like, well, why there? Why there?
I've met Spencer numerous occasions. I've met Tunde numerous occasions. I've interviewed Tunde. It's even on YouTube. I've interviewed Tunde. When I've been in media, like media rooms, when you get your accreditation, you're in a media section. I've been in media sections with Tunde. I've been in media sections with Spencer. And so obviously my knowledge and understanding of Spencer would be obviously vaster than more people because I've been around those characters. I'm not saying I know them and they know me. They're not my friends or anything, but I've been around those guys.
I'm glad you said that because you've been around those guys, those guys. So the reason I'm saying what I'm saying is I haven't been around those guys. I don't know those guys. So I guess I'm asking you to put on my shoes, or put on the shoes of people that's in the States.
No, I understand why you asked the question. I understand why you asked the question.
So,
but the problem that I have is when you get an answer, not you personally, but when someone gets an answer, there's still a disregard. The reason why I'm saying there's a disregard is because let me say this to you. If someone has publicly embarrassed you and nobody has come to your defense, and the one person who's come to your defense, we don't know if they have a relationship. But let's assume that they do have a relationship on a personal one-to-one level because Spencer Fearon had a relationship with Roger Mayweather. People didn't know that. He has a relationship with Andre Ward. People don't know that. So he knows a lot of American guys. Virgil Hunter, another one. So he could have a relationship with him. I don't know. Spencer Fearon's also interviewed Wilder before. So it's one of those things. But let's just say everybody else has publicly shamed you, and the only person who's come to your defense has asked for an interview. Will you not take that interview? If you're Mark Breland, will you not take that interview?
To answer your question, yeah, you would take the interview, but at the same time, I think with me just finding out he has a book coming out, that kind of changed things for me, because anybody that's selling a book, you want to make. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, bro.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The thing is, like, you know, when you have a book coming out, like, you're gonna make your rounds. Like, you're gonna make your rounds.
By the way, Koshi just put a statement out. You might want to read that, because I didn't know that, and that's very enlightening.
You know what? Let me get to the comment. Let's blow through the comments real quick, and then we'll jump back. We'll jump back in. Put up your dukes. He said, if you know Mark, he's a quiet and non-controversial person. He's been that way his whole life. Agreed. That's the way it seems, for sure. Put up your dukes also said, for Wilder to say Breland is jealous of him, that's far from the truth. Wilder's boxing resume can't stand up to Breland's. Yeah, Breland. I mean, I'm not comparing careers, but Breland's career has been very successful, especially at the amateur level. He doesn't have a reason to be jealous of Wilder. Like, he doesn't have a reason. So I would agree with that. Cuzzy TV, because you can come out whenever you choose. I'm assuming he's talking about Breland. Yes, you can come out whenever you choose. It's I think YSM's question is the timing in which he came out. Yeah, the timing and the platform, was it convenient? And I think that's YSM's main point. I don't think he will argue with you as far as your personal knowledge of Spencer and Tunde and all of that. I think his main question was like, do you find it convenient? And I think you made the statement that Spencer exploited the situation from a media standpoint, and I think that's the main thing that YSM can take home. I'm pretty sure he's probably going to want to talk some more, but yeah, but the thing is, a lot of things that you said is enlightening, because a lot of people don't know. I didn't even know. So the reason I gave that whole story before is because I'm like, I had the response of a casual fan. I was just like, wait a minute, Breland went on a show with an MTK Global guy. That was exactly what I said. Why?
Yeah, because that's what you said to me. That's what you said.
That's what I said. Right.
And I was like, no, Spencer Fearon's worked for Sky. He's worked for so many other companies.
So just imagine if I said that I'm a boxing guy, but I'm willing to take in information. There's 100 other people that's not willing to take in that information, which is on them. But that's kind of the element that YSM was talking about. So it's like, I understand what he's saying, but then at the same time, I'm like, once you hear like more about Spencer and all of that, you kind of like, okay, Breland probably was just going on a media run for his book. That's how I look at it now. Like, after getting all the information, I'm like, he probably just went on a media run and he started there, because he knew that was going to get.
And the problem, and as I said before, you're talking to a guy, you're talking to Spencer Fearon. He's been interviewing for years. He knows what he's doing when it comes to media, and he knows about boxing. So he knows what he's going to do.
He knows what he's doing.
He's going to get you comfortable. He's going to get you in a place where you want to speak. And then he's gonna throw you the dummy up layup question, and it's gonna.
And the thing is, and the thing is this, bro. Breland realized what happened afterwards. Like, he acknowledged it in the Instagram post. Like, he realized what happened. That's why he wrote like a 5-page post on Instagram to clear up things, because he knew what Spencer did, but he can't get mad at Spencer because he's media. That's what he's supposed to do. Hold on. Cuzzy said you can't put time limit on anything. That's true in a sense. Boxing Learner, what's going on, Boxing Learner? Did Joseph give a reason for missing weight Not that I know of. I would have to research that, bro. I would have to research that. Fuzzy TV, he said Mark went on an American platform with Nate Campbell months ago.
Exactly. I saw that comment, and that's what I was alluding to. That comment that he said. I didn't know that.
I wonder if YSM knows that. Did he talk about Wilder though? Did he talk about anything, or he just, you know what? I'm gonna mention at the YSM too. Hey, Cuzzy TV, if you can find the link for that, that would be great. Because the thing about YSM, Shane, and myself, the one thing we do, I might, even if we going back and forth about something, we're looking for the facts. Like, we're fact checking. So if you can find that link for us, that'd be great. Let me see. Put up your Duke said Mark isn't a public person. That's true. Not a public person at all. Fuzzy TV, Spencer reached out, but Mark has done American interviews about the Wilder situation in December.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Can you switch your names?
I'm gonna ring it off. Yeah, I didn't know that. Cuzzy, if you could tell us who, because you didn't get no buzz, I'll tell you that much, because I don't know about it. I don't know why YSM knows about it, but I definitely don't know about it. Put up your Duke said we from Brooklyn, no Mark. I feel you. Like, I feel you. As far as Mark,
get YSM on another live, because personally, I don't want to give off the wrong impression to make him feel like I'm just this Wilder fanboy, Fury fanboy. It's got nothing to do.
I don't think it's that. I think his thing is like, people don't want to admit that, like you said, like Spencer exploited the situation, so it made it seem like it was convenient when he went on. It was convenient when it came out. It took attention away from the whole documentary and all of that. I think that's where he was going. That's where he was going with it. But of course, getting y'all on at the same time is best case scenario. It's kind of like y'all are getting to the same point, but y'all just saying it in different ways. And for me,
I agree with what he's saying in terms of his perception, but perception isn't necessarily reality. It's like if I write a 6 and I stand on the other side of the pavement, it's going to look like a
perception. But I think the perception is what he was getting at. I think everything else he'll probably fall in line with, but I think people they try to ignore the perception. The thing is, I'm like, I know it's a perception because I'm like, I'm guilty of it until I got educated. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, for the non-educated person, you can get duped in a situation like that. Like, just not doing it.
And again, this is another thing I have to say to you. When the video came out on the BBC about Daniel Kinahan, they're saying that they did this as a cover-up to cover up his league, that he's affiliated with the mob. What you have to understand is the people who watch the BBC isn't boxing fans. So if they're going to cover it up, they have to cover it up with something on the same scale. It's not even reaching the same public. The people who watch the BBC are middle-aged white people. They're watching it. Oh, can you believe Tyson Fury is affiliated with gangsters? They're not going to then, let's type in Spencer Fury on the internet. They're not the same people. We're talking about millions and millions of people. So if that was a cover-up, that would be a very, very, very minuscule cover-up, because Spencer Fury's channel has 9,000 subscribers. That's a little bit more than what you have. What's it called? BBC have 60 million people that watch their station every single day. There's a massive difference. How could you say that's a cover-up when the people that you're reaching out to isn't even the same people? For there to be a cover-up, it would have to be either on the same channel or a channel of equivalent size. So that doesn't even make sense.
I think it's a fascinating conversation because I'm like, you're getting a UK perspective, you're getting a US perspective, and you're really just trying to piece things together. So I'm like, even when the conversation happens, And YSM will get deeper into like not this issue, but it's another issue that I'm pretty sure he's gonna want to speak about that happened to him yesterday. That he called me about today. That's kind of relevant, kind of relevant to the situation. But this is why we're here. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, when you have like the climate in the UK is different from the US when it comes down to certain situations. So I feel like what we have going on is great, because when you don't know what's going on in the US, you don't know the pulse of a situation in the US, you hit me up. And then if we don't know what's going on in the UK, we know we can hit you up. So we're bringing two worlds together for even a situation where we don't have all the answers. We can come together and try to get the answers. And our answers are going to be more accurate because it's not two US guys, it's not two UK guys, it's US and UK. So I'm like, you can stack your information, we can stack ours and come to a common ground. But regardless of Breland doing it just to do it, or if he had intention, if Spencer exploited it, all of that, it gives out a perception to the casual fan that needs to be cleared up. And that's why we're here, to clear that up, because there's a lot of casual fans that do think a certain way when it comes down to that situation. And we're here as a channel, like we're here to clear up any misconceptions or anything like that. So I know YSM is listening. Bro, I'll definitely get with you and we can set that up so we can talk about it more. You know what I'm saying? Put up your dukes. He said no one knew Mark had a book coming out. At the time, no. That's a good point. He didn't say anything about the book coming out until after he put the Instagram post up. So that's a fact. You got to factor that in as well, because for me saying that he was going on a book run when nobody knew he was coming out with a book, that completely takes my comment out the picture. But see, this is what I'm talking about. Put up your dukes is listening, and he like, all right, well, let me drop this fact. Cuzzy TV, like, oh, well, listen, this happened. We dropping this fact. I don't want to lose sight that we're all dropping facts on each other to get to a common ground. So that's what I love about what's going on right now. Cuzzy TV said, check out Lion Killer. He has the interview. Remember that, Shane. Lion Killer, we're going to look that up. We had to look that up. I actually listened to it. I guess I'll say Lion Killer. I'll Google it, Lion Killer, Mark Breland, and see if I can find it. But man, do you have any final thoughts, man? We've been cooking for over 2 hours. You ain't got nothing?
Nothing. I was just gonna say thanks for the tuning in. I mean, there's a lot of good fights tomorrow. That was the main topic of today. I know we got distracted, but yeah. Just keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Yeah.
Keep the energy coming. Keep the enthusiasm coming as well.
Give me your social media real quick, Shane.
I_am Shane1, the number 1. Yeah.
Okay. Put up your dukes said yes, great chat. Put up your dukes. We appreciate you jumping on. Shane, I'll put you on to put up your dukes on Instagram. You gotta, when I send you his page, gloves is crazy. Like he got customized, all that. Crazy. Real good dude, man. And it's crazy how he got into the business actually. But I'll let him explain that when he jump on the channel. But we definitely looking forward to talking to Put Up Your Dukes. Y'all can find me on here, G5 Jeff TV on YouTube, G5 Jeff TV on Twitter, Box with G5 Jeff TV on Instagram, and definitely enjoy the fights tomorrow. We will be back probably tomorrow or Sunday. Definitely stay tuned with us on social media. We'll definitely talk about that. Quick roll call real quick. Put up your dukes, my bro. Appreciate you. Cuzzy TV, Boxing Learner, my bro, YSM Sports Media, Beams 2K, A Obs, Will Stokes, Who else we had up in here? Let me see. I'm going up the chat. Brian Harkins. Big shout out to you. Unrivaled Boxing Talk. Bruce Gould. DT3 the Boom Man. And I think that was it. And then big shout out to everybody else that follow the channel, man. We really appreciate it. We're gonna put this right up and keep up with us. We going live again tomorrow or Sunday. I'm assuming we're gonna have a Shane versus YSM Sports Media Part 2 at some point. At some point, but we'll set that up and line that up, man. So on behalf of G5 Jeff TV, VP Shane, we are out.